Today we're going to talk about our natural vibrational state, which is that what is the natural state of our soul, and how do we, through the things that we do, the beliefs that we have, the energy we embody, actually live in direct conflict with ourselves. And you're probably wondering, girl, why do you have a bowl of water with a lid to Gatorade there? And I have a very good reason for it. Stay tuned for literally the next 2 minutes. Anyways, but before that, here's the thing. When a baby is born, do you need to chant affirmations in the baby's ear that, oh my God, you're worthy? No, you don't. You don't have to tell the baby, a little baby, that you're worthy or you're good enough or you're anything, because a baby is worthy very naturally. No human being can look at a baby and be like, oh my God, that is an unworthy baby. That's not true. Every baby is worthy in itself just because they exist. But then we become adults and now we feel that I need to be somebody, I need to do something, to act a certain way, to behave a specific way, to collect certain trophies and medals and whatnot, to then be able to be qualified for the worthiness medal. And it's the biggest bag of BS that we give ourselves. Because in our natural state as a baby, you are worthy. And so what happened between then and now was just life. And none of those experiences, regardless of how painful, how many mistakes you made, how many good or bad things you did, it doesn't change the essence of our soul. And the reason why we keep perpetuating our own misery, the reason why most people, when they start doing things that are probably in direct misalignment with their internal soul and with the goodness in them, it's because they stop believing that they're worthy. And they limit themselves to those mistakes they've made. And then they keep repeating those mistakes because they're like, there's no hope for me. But if we were to realize that innately you are worthy, you don't need to do anything but let go of the stories, of the fears, of the patterns, of all the reasons you give yourself to stop believing in your worthiness, that's all it takes. You naturally start to rise again. Because what makes us feel suffocated, what makes us feel like I'm not good enough and I can't even do this right or that right, and that perfectionism we have, whatever you want to call it, is the resistance we create within ourselves. Is the stories that I start telling myself that, oh, don't do this, and I'm not good enough, and I must be this way, I must be that way, and this and that, and this and that. And the more stories I keep creating, the more pressure I keep building. And at a certain point, there's so much pressure that is built up that now this if this is a metaphor for you, you can't even come up to the surface. And now you're under the surface, you can't breathe, you feel suffocated, you're like, I'm drowning, there's so much pain. And that pain is just the resistance you have created by your stories, your fears, your patterns, your unwillingness to let go. And so if you're listening to me and you're like, well, I get it, then what do I need to do to come back up to the surface? I'm glad you asked. Well, I'm glad I asked. Because all you really need to do is let go and allow yourself to naturally rise back to the surface again. The reason why we feel that we need to control things, that I need to do this thing and I need to be this way and I need to be that way, is because we believe, it's our ego that believes that it knows better. It knows it all. And that's not true. What keeps us stuck under the water, what keeps us from ever coming back up, is our own limitedness. our own perception of our limitedness, our reasons why we believe that we shouldn't open our heart up, why we believe that we shouldn't be vulnerable, why we believe that we shouldn't express openly. And I don't need to shout 1,000 affirmations at this cap for it to come back up. I just need to release the pressure. And the pressure is what we release when we heal. It is what we release when we release the energy that is trapped inside of us. I had a client who, this was yesterday, she came here, and every time we would try to start an intervention or have a conversation, she had this control, and she told me, she was like, all my previous therapists also said this to me, that I can't let go of control. And all I had her do was close her eyes and visualize a box in front of her. And this is something you can do with yourself. Imagine this is that box, and visualize pulling out every single thing that you feel like you need to control in your life and put it in a box. And I kept telling her, hey, listen, you are not letting go of control forever. All you're doing is you're putting it in a box. And this is something I do with all of my clients who have, because it's something I did with myself, full disclosure. I used to be a very controlling person. It humbles me to remember it, because I needed everything to be a certain way. I needed the difference that I made to be in a certain way. I needed to get clients a certain way. It was like, full disclosure, this is something I've never shared before, but last year, it was one of the most challenging years of my life. And for 6 to 8 months, my team, I had a team of 8 people. They were arranging all these events and this, that, but it was all work that I didn't feel energetically aligned to do. And there was a lot of inauthenticity in the marketing that we had as well. So in our lead generation strategies and whatnot, and there was so much resistance. Everyone was always like worried about how are we bringing money in the company? How are we doing this? How are we doing that? And I was so worried about it, because I was like, you guys are working day and night and I don't see results. I don't see this. And everything became about what I'm getting. And it stopped being about what I was giving. And it was all these fears about, oh my God, like if this doesn't work out, what happens? If that doesn't happen, then what happens? And it was like, obviously, something that God needed me to learn, that all I needed to do was surrender. That I needed to let go of my expectations. I needed to stop trying to predict how the abundance that I want will come into my life. And I needed to reconnect with the part of me that started doing this work to begin with. And it was a very, very, very hard lesson to learn, because it did cost me a lot. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat, because after I let go of my entire team, I was like, you know what? Screw the money. And I remember, like, after a lot of shadow work, a lot of healing, a lot of this, a lot of that, I came to this point of surrender, which I had never in my life experienced before. And it was so beautiful, because it was like everything stopped mattering. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about literally any. I used to always talk about how, oh my God, I want to be a TEDx speaker. I want to be a best-selling author. I want to be this. I want to be that. And in that time when I was healing, I realized that all of those things, those titles, literally just came from my need to prove my worthiness through the external. And once I healed my inner child and I began to feel worthy and whole within, I let go. And when I let go and I cleared out all the energy that was stored in me, I surrendered. And I was like, you know what? I'm not here to get anything. I'm just here to give. And that's when I started YouTube. And it was beautiful, because I didn't care about the outcome anymore. I didn't care about making money. I knew that what I have to offer is so huge. it's so impactful that I became excited to offer it again. That I left and walked away from every single person and every single place that was in misalignment with who I am today. And I made some very tough decisions, but nothing that I regret, because I know the importance of those tough decisions, the importance of letting go, the importance of realizing that when you surrender, you begin to live moment by moment, and you begin to you develop this belief that in this moment, everything that I need to get me through this moment, I already have. See, most of our fear, most of our stress, most of our anxiety, most of our worrying comes from this fear that, oh my God, but like, sure, I don't need it right now, but I'm gonna need it in the future. And what if I don't have it in the future? Then what am I gonna do? And it's like, surrender is about realizing that what I need, if I have everything I need to get me through this moment right now, then I will have everything I need to get me through that moment when it comes. Let that sink in. Hello, Sing, you can come in. But for reals, I was talking to one of my best friends yesterday, and this is the conversation we were having, and I was like, you know, it's so freeing to realize that when you look back at your life and you see that everything I needed in every single moment of my life to get me to exactly where I am today was given to me when I needed it the most, when it was the best time for me. If it came any earlier, if it came any later, life would have been so different. And if it did come at all, life would have been so different. And if there was something that I wanted and I didn't get, if I had gotten it, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be who I am today. And the same thing was for her. All of that is to really, really reinforce the idea that that whole thing is what surrender is about. It's about learning to let go of how we think life should be, of that fear you have, of that negative energy that is in you, of whatever you are carrying, of your expectation of how life should be. If you just empty it out and you get back to living, you'll find that you'll float just fine. But every moment you'll be like, cool, what a beautiful moment. And then the next moment, and then the next moment. Why must we exhaust ourselves worrying about the future when God has never let us down? When God has never, ever not given us what we needed in a particular moment? When has there been a time in your life when you inhaled and there was an oxygen flowing inside you, and when you exhaled, you didn't breathe out carbon dioxide? When was a time when you took a step forward and the body didn't move? When was there a time when you closed your eyes and to blink and you couldn't open them again? There's so many miracles always happening in your life, and your whole body is a beautiful miracle. You don't have to control every single breath you take. You don't have to every moment think that, okay, inhale, okay, exhale, got it, lungs, let's go. Inhale, exhale. Imagine if every moment you had to tell yourself, instruct yourself to inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. And if anytime you wanted to blink, you'd be like, oh, blink, eyes, blink, eyes, blink, eyes, move hand. If you had to instruct yourself, your brain, every time you needed to do something, what would that be like? Just in a moment, you saw how chaotic that was. That's exactly what control does. But when I surrender, my blinking is effortless. My breathing is effortless. My movement is effortless. Because that is the beauty of God, of the way that God has created us, of the way that we have this faith every time. Imagine if you started to have this fear that, oh my God, I need to take all the oxygen that I can take in right now because I don't know if I'm going to have oxygen the next moment. Do we do that? No. We don't do that. We surrender to the knowing that every time I inhale, I'm going to have oxygen, and every time I exhale, I'm going to let the carbon dioxide out. And that's to say that you already are practicing surrender in your life. Because if you didn't know how to surrender, if you didn't know how to let go of control, that's what you would be doing. You would be, inhale, okay, hold it guys, okay brain, we are not letting this go because I don't know if there's enough oxygen for me to take another breath. What if there isn't? What am I gonna do if it isn't? So you hold that breath, and then you stay and I don't know how long you can hold your breath for. I am holding my breath, but I don't know how long you can do it for. Well, damn, I can hold my breath for long. But anyways, exhale. Because I know that the next time I take a breath, it's going to be there. The abundance is already there in my life. The abundance of oxygen is there, has always been there, which means that I am an abundant being. And so are you. Which means that it's just the meaning that you've given, the importance that you've given to things in your life. Let's say maybe it's a relationship for you. I want a relationship. Oh my God, that person got married, and that person got married, and oh my God, my ex got married as well. Oh, and that wonderful guy that I started liking and 3 years ago, and then I never talked to him again because I wasn't like in the headspace for it, and he got married as well. There are no good partners out there left, and I think that I'm gonna die alone. If you trust that you're gonna have the oxygen when you take a breath in, then why would you not have or get what you need when it's the right time for you? Maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe God wants you to heal so that you set out a better example for the next generation. Maybe there could be so many reasons why whatever it is you want, you have not gotten yet, because life gives us a reflection of who we're being. But we get so focused on the external that, oh, it's that and it's that and it's that if we just look at where and how we have created the pressure in our lives and we begin to let go of it, slowly we rise back up. And then when you rise back up, empty it out. Let the energy go. Let the beliefs go. And surrender. Because you always have exactly what you need in the moment you need it. Not a moment before, not a moment after. If you don't have what you want right now, maybe it's because God has something better for you. Maybe it's because you don't need it right now. Maybe it's because having it will do more harm than good. You never know. And surrender is all about having that faith that I really don't know that much. Maybe the sky to your ego is really just the ceiling to your soul. Your ego is the one that thinks that, oh, it's supposed to be this way, it's supposed to be that way. But your soul, your spirit, that believes in God, because our soul has been in the presence of God before we came to earth. And so our soul knows the truth about the Creator. And that's why when we live from our soul, there's an innate trust that we have. An innate trust in the fact that it all works out. It always has, eternally, and it always will, because it will be exactly how God has planned it for us. And all we need to do is be better human beings, is find more ways to express our soul more and show up from our soul, our spirit, our truth, rather than our ego and our limitedness and our fears. So I invite you today to figure out where in your life are you creating that pressure for yourself? Where in your life are you holding yourself down? Where in your life are you not letting yourself rise up the way that you were meant to? And then begin to let go. Whether it's your business, whether it's your relationship. Let go of how you believe it needs to be. Let go of how you think that it should come to you, it should happen. And just allow for it to happen however it's best for you. And you do your best and showing up as a better human being and giving and expressing love into the world and doing what excites you, in finding more ways to be your best authentic self and making a difference in the world through the way that you believe is most passionate for you. And when you begin to do that and you're doing it without expectations, just to serve, just to give, just to share, it's not only so much fun, but also when you stop expecting, everything happens for you. Things start working out for you. I'm almost at 400 subscribers. I had no expectations. I still don't. I got, every other day I'm getting a person or two reaching out to me saying they want to work with me. I'm not reaching out to anyone. But because I'm here to serve, things are starting to work out. And I trust that they will continue to. Because when have they not? But when we try to control and resist, we block that magic from happening in our lives. Let go of the resistance today and see how beautiful your life can